sun is finally popping out. It was raining all day and I went outside and just the hair ballooned. Got some packages to unbox though, so let's do it. I feel like it's been a bit since I've done just a regular vlog, and I have things to do around this apartment, so I figured this would be a good day to do that. Wait a second. What in the... This is very futuristic looking. What is happening? Very obscure reference, but I feel like this reminds me of like Austin Powers when they store, what is it, his mojo in these. Oh my. This is the SkinCeuticals Advanced RGN6 Aesthetic Recovery Cream. Helps improve visible signs of aging. I have a few products from SkinCeuticals I really want to try out, but I want to be strategic about when I try them. I didn't used to have to be so worried about like what products I was using on my skin, but in the last like 3 months, I've noticed that I'm dealing with acne again, like for the first time in probably, well, I'm 28 now. It's probably in my like really early 20s when I was still like having acne things I had to deal with, but it's been a while and it's been a rude awakening to myself how in your head you can get about acne, because honestly, it's just not something that has really been an issue. I'd sometimes get a breakout during my period. By no means like do I feel like my skin's horrible right now, and I feel like I owe that to the Kate Somerville Eradicate cleanser that I'm using lately, but still like I'm dealing with more acne surprises than usual, and I forgot like how in your head you can get about it. Not one of those fun things, but oh, this is from L'Oreal. This is the Vitamino Color Spectrum Glass Shine Serum. That looks so fancy. Anti-fizz and humidity control. Whoa, I really need this because this is the result of humidity today. Also, I hate to say it, but as much as I use a curling iron pretty consistently, I'm not very good about using heat protection, so I love the fact that this has this on it. Last box here is from CeraVe. Oh, look at this. Look at the little cookie. So many moisturizers here. The night moisturizer honestly is one of my favorites, and I've been out of stock for a bit, so very thankful that I've got that again. I've been like in a reading groove with my Kobo. I read Great Big Beautiful Life finally by Emily Henry. I really liked it. I mean, like, it's not my favorite Emily Henry book, but I think I talked about this when I first bought the book, that I had heard like a lot of conflicting emotions about it, but it very much so has like this Evelyn Hugo, the seven husbands of Evelyn Hugo. It kind of has a little bit of that vibe. I really loved One Golden Summer by Carly Fortune. This is a standalone novel, but I would recommend reading Every Summer After before this one, because the main character in this is like kind of involved in that first book, so I feel like if you read this one before that one, you kind of get a little spoiled. I love reading Carly Fortune books, particularly because she is a local author. So the references that she makes to Toronto in her books are so specific, and it's really neat because these are places that I know well. I can picture so well because I frequent them or I know about them. Like, it's really cool when you don't have to do a lot of work in visualizing the setting of a story. I just love it. I think it's so cool. I get giddy. I feel like a little fangirl. I'm like, oh my gosh. What was the one that she mentioned? The Art Gallery of Toronto came up in the first couple pages, and I was like, I know the AGO. Like, that is so cool. Like, I know exactly where they are or what they're mentioning or referencing, kind of thing. So it really makes the characters feel like people that I know in real life rather than just characters. I also read Problematic Summer Romance by Ali Hazelwood. Some really good like beach reads happening lately. This one was interesting because it's set in Italy and the main couple has history, but you know, things happened and now they're just kind of work through this awkward situation of having to be at this wedding together. And yeah, I just thought it was a fun one. Ali Hazelwood's just like a good, again, like beach read stuff. So all three of those definitely some good contenders for the beach bag this year. The one that I'm going to read next is Summer in the City by Alex Astor. I've heard lots about this one, so I'm excited to give that one a go too. Now I need to clean up the box situation in front of me that you can't see, but is all too real over here. Every month, in addition to making a reading tracker in my little mini paper republic, I also like to make a memory log page. I was not very good about filling this in May, but I have been pretty consistent with it in 2025, and it's just a great dashboard to quickly highlight some highlights of the month, and I don't really go too much in depth into explaining anything. It's just to jog my memory, because I find sometimes your brain just needs those small prompts to get that memory going. This is the first time that I actually filled out the page to the point where there's like specific spots for me to write each memory. Not a lot of space to work with. It really is just supposed to be a quick note. But I'm curious to see if this helps encourage me in June to just get recording a little bit more consistently. Whoa, whoa, that's so rude. Oh no. What the heck is this? Goodbye, Champagne. I have some open shelving in my kitchen, and I've had these bins on there, 2 of them, for a really long time, and I've kind of grown out of love with them being on display. I had a flashlight in one of them, which is a great thing to have, but I can put that in my tech drawer. I filled it up instead with cookie cutters. The plastic container they were previously in is kind of gross. This one already had light bulbs, so I feel like it's natural to keep these in here. I think they'll stack really nicely. Napkins always come in handy. Honestly, I don't really know a time when I'm gonna need those paper plates, but I hesitate to get rid of them because they do really come in handy for art projects or when you're doing DIYs. Like sometimes you just need a paper plate. And also there are those occasions where you have like, you know, people over and you don't really want to do a ton of dishes, especially if it's like a larger group. So it just feels silly to get rid of it, even though it's taking up space that I don't really have. But I have this clear vase that I think would be nice to store up here. There's even some room for me to put my frother up there once it's dried. It's being washed right now. I know it's not perfect, but it feels so good to have gotten that done because it looks a lot better than it did before. And quite honestly, the things that I'm storing in there, they're not everyday visits for me. Like I rarely have to open up that cupboard. So I like the fact that everything that's in there is very visible. I made use of what I already had by giving those little storage bins a new home. If you watched last week's video, then you know that I've been on a sourdough making journey. And if you're curious about how to make your own starter and how long that process takes, what's involved, how to make your first loaf, I cover all of that in last week's video. It's actually such a great video for me to have as a memory because it was such a process to get from starter to loaf. And now since that video, I've done an additional 2 loaves. And I'm in progress of making my 3rd. I already mixed the ingredients to get my dough started. I used a lot of my starter for the bread today, but there is some active starter in here that I actually want to air dry so that I have dried starter on hand in case I ever accidentally like throw out too much of my starter or my starter goes bad. I can use this dried starter as kind of like a get out of jail free card. I can restart my starter from that process. So I want to do that. I also want to try freezing some starter on another day, but for today I'm just going to start the process of drying it out. Got my spatula. I'm going to take some starter and put it on the parchment and spread it out as thin as I can. This is great because I actually want to change the ratio of my feed today. Usually when you're doing starter or you're growing your starter, you do a 1-to-1 ratio or 1-1-1 ratio, which means you're doing equal parts starter, flour, and water. But for the longevity of your starter, it's actually good to feed at higher ratios where you're feeding, there's less starter for the amount of flour and water you're feeding. So I've seen people say, you know, it's good to do like a 1-5-5 ratio. So if you had 10 grams of starter, you're doing 50 grams of flour and water, or a 1-10-10 ratio. So if you're doing 10 grams of starter, you're doing 100 grams of flour and water. I don't know if this is right, but we're gonna try it. Also, since doing that video, I started a discard jar. So every day when I feed my alive starter, I dump it into this jar. And this is like 3 or 4 days worth. And you can use this in recipes specifically for discard to enhance the flavor of different dishes. You can use these in cookies and pancakes, waffles. I tried air drying for 12 hours and I didn't feel like I was making much progress. Then I remembered, oh my goodness, my Air Fryer Pro, my Breville Air Fryer Pro has a dehydration function. So I put it on for an 8-hour setting and it got it all crunchy and transferred the little bits to a mason jar so that they'd be, you know, protected and airtight. I may end up transferring these to the freezer too, just to really give it some longevity, but this was really easy and now I feel a little bit more secure in knowing I have backup starter. How it's possible to start the day with a headache and not go away. I threw water at it, I threw a nap at it, I threw Advil at it, and then finally, after the day is practically over, you know, it's 5 p.m. now, it's finally gone. Like it just went away 20 minutes ago. But oh, I think it's the change in temperatures. I'm always really sensitive to that. This is my latest loaf. I baked it today. and I think it's my best like subtle design scoring. You have to look closely to see the designs on this one. I baked this one in a cast iron Dutch oven. Very exciting. I stole it from my parents. Will they get it back? I don't know. I feel like just that alone has allowed me to get some height on my loaf. Very exciting journey that I'm on. I want to start doing some inclusions, get a little freaky with that. I am, however, going to cut it in this new cutting board that I got. So I have a wooden cutting board, but it's a butcher's block. It's like quite a heavy duty one. This is a lot thinner, just lighter, more casual. Like if I put it in my drying rack, it doesn't take up the whole drying rack, which my butcher block one like definitely takes up a lot of space on there. Found this for $25 at HomeSense, and I'm in love with the pattern on it. I think it's such a beautiful statement piece while still being super functional because it's a cutting board. I was trying to look for a light alternative because I wanted to get rid of my plastic cutting board. I have a little mini one that I typically use for quick cuts. I've been waiting to find like the perfect one, and then I saw this. I'm like, oh, I love it. As much as I've always loved the functionality of this whiteboard in my kitchen, I can't say it's my favorite thing to look at. And over the years, I've thought, you know, I should really replace this with something more aesthetically pleasing, until I realized, like literally this week, that I have free will and I can change things if I so desire. And that is what I decided to do. I already had acrylic paint and paintbrushes on hand, so really this was $0 for me to do. And I thought adding some pink and a really simple stripe pattern will give this a little bit more of an artistic touch. I feel like this looks so much cuter than it did before. It brightens up this corner, and I want to do some fun DIY magnets on this wall here too. These are just a couple of the ones I've gone with me on my travels. But I just think the paint added a little bit of fun, a little whimsy to the board, and like that board has been bothering me for so long because it's just so boring. It's easy to think, well, like if you don't like something, just get a new thing. But why can't we find ways to reinvent the things that we already have? And eventually one day, if I find like a replacement that I really love, like fine. This was such an easy way for me to re-fall back in love with something that's been in my home for years. This is what I'm calling the fridge detox. I'm leaving the apartment for the weekend, so I need to get through some of the veggies in my fridge. So I just decided to saute up the zucchini, the last zucchini, and like 5 mushrooms I had in there. I also had like 5 cherry tomatoes that I cut up and put into this quinoa salad that I made the other night. It has sweet potatoes in it, roasted chickpeas. Did I say sweet potato? Yeah, roasted sweet potato, corn. I'm gonna toss this in, and then also some feta, and do a sunny side up egg or 2 on top of it. And it's just gonna be this really great bowl. I don't usually do it though with mushrooms. So I'm kind of intrigued to see what new flavor is gonna emerge. And I really love salads or like meal prep items like this that combine something that you've prepped with something that you're cooking fresh. So the veggies are gonna be nice and warm and freshly done. I'm gonna toss it in the salad that's had time, the quinoa has had time to kind of marinate with the flavors of the dressing from the night before. So even this is just more flavorful than the first day that I made it. But it's gonna stay cold. I'm gonna add some warm ingredients to it, and it's just gonna create a really interesting experience for the mouth, for the taste buds. I've said it before, I hate food waste, so I try and do whatever I can to make sure that when it's time for me to leave and I need to go through my fridge, or just like on a trash day and I just need to go through the fridge, the pantry, I like to try and keep on top of it so that, you know, if something looks like it's vulnerable of soiling, we're addressing it as soon as possible and giving it a dish to flourish in. Cooking has good ASMR. I don't feel like the camera's doing it justice for how many colors are happening here and just like how good it looks. I've added the feta, as you can see, a little chunk is there. We're gonna plop it with the egg. This is the same bowl that it was in the fridge with. I'm not even gonna plate this.